All right. Hey guys, Mr. Kyle, Myers Mathematics, and let's just jump right into it. So today is another day on a series of Algebra 1 worksheets. At the end of the video, there will be a link to that playlist for all the different algebra worksheets I've done so far, which is quite a few. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every single Algebra 1 worksheet that's out there that your teacher likely goes through and, gives you for homework or classwork to do, so that you can, check your answers and make sure the solution is right and that sort of thing, that we get full credit for that assignment and maybe learn something in the process too. So let's go ahead and start with the first one here. We want the percent of change. So it says find each percent change to the nearest percent. State if it's an increase or a decrease. Okay, well, let's actually start with this because this is easy. You always start with the easiest thing. This is easy. Because if it's an increase, the number went up. If it's a decrease, the number went down, right? So if it's an increase, it goes up, and a decrease goes down. So let's actually do that first. So if we go from 45 to 92, did I go up or did I go down? Well, I went up. I went up from 45 to 92. So that's up, which would be increase. And I'm just going to put in or D, IN or DE. Okay. 74 to 85, that went up. So I put up. Oh, sorry. I already said I was going to put decrease there. Or sorry, increase. Ugh. Hold on. There we go. All right, so increase. 74 to 75. It's a little bit of an increase, but it's still an increase. 36 to 90. That's an increase. 94 to 34. Ooh, our first decrease. That went down. 12 to 23. Increase. And I'm just going to use the same blue for everything here. Increase and decrease. 83 to 76. Is that up or down? Down, so decrease. 24 to 96. Increase. 20 to 99. Increase. Increase. Decrease, right? 117 to 91. 188 to 42. That's a decrease. All right. This is also a decrease. This is an increase. Oh, I almost put up again. Increase. And you can fast forward a little bit if you want, if you've already kind of gotten the hang of this. But I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off here. Increase. This is an increase, right? 259 to 274. That's an increase. This is a decrease. This is a decrease. It's getting a little bit harder, but it's still, you can still kind of just look at the numbers and figure out if it's going up or down. This is going down, so decrease. This is going down, decrease. 4,048 to 7,548. Goodness gracious, that's definitely an increase. Miles and miles, that's increase. And here we increase. And here we increase as well. Okay, and you can kind of start to see some of the answers here at the bottom, like 104 and 15 and whatnot. Let's go ahead and look at them just so that you can get an idea of what these look like here. By the way, every one of these Kuta worksheets, when it says Kuta, K-U-T-A, that means that it has the answers in it, okay? So every one of those worksheets has the answers in it. If you're given a worksheet and it's by Kuta software, then the answers are there. I wouldn't just put the answers and be done with it. I would, figure out how to actually do it. But in order to check to make sure you're on the right track, it's helpful to know what the answers are, okay? So first answer should be 104, and it's an increase, 15, and an increase here, so on and so on. 74 to 75, that's only a 1% increase. Wow. All right. Decrease, increase, so on and so on. If I went a little bit too fast there, you can always just pause it and go back, but I'll kind of slowly scroll back up here. All right. And let's go back up to the top and talk about how we know that it's a 104% increase. Okay. So we need to know how much it's changing by. There's a couple different ways to do that. If it's increasing, then that means that I could add something to 45 and get 92, or I could multiply by something and get 92. Okay? So if I'm going to multiply instead of add, which is what we want to do, when it has to do with percents, we're going to multiply or divide, not add or subtract. So if we want to figure out how much to multiply by, I would say, okay, well, 45 times something gives me 92. So what I do then is I always do this. I always divide. I'm kind of solving an equation here. I'm dividing by 45. So if you want to figure out the percent increase, we divide the big number, so big number, by the small number, divide the big number by the small number, and that's how we figure out percent increase, okay? And I think they want you to use a calculator on this because it would be really annoying to have to do some of these calculations by hand. So I'm actually going to use a calculator myself and pull this up here. So get out of my programs. 92 divided by 45 is 2.04 repeating. And they said round to the nearest percent, which would mean 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places. Okay, so 2.04 is what I get, 2.04. And if I want to change that to a decimal, to a percent from a decimal, then I move the decimal place over 2 spaces. 1, 2. 2 spaces to the right. All right, so that was a lot. Let's go to the next question and see if we can make a little bit more sense out of this here. So let's do from 74 to 85. Okay, so what do we do first? Well, step 1, we divide the big number by the small number. All right, that was step 1. So 85 divided by 74, step 1. Okay, 85 divided by 74. I get 1.148648649. So it looks like that also repeats a little bit as well. But it doesn't matter if it repeats or not, because we round to 2 decimal places. Okay, so this is going to be equal to 1.1, and then the next number is a 4, but the number after that is an 8. It's 1.148, or the first 3 digits. You have to look at the first 3 digits if you want to round to 2. If you wanted to round to 3 decimal places, you'd have to look at the first 4 digits, because the other digit after the one you're trying to round to is going to decide whether that digit, the last digit, is going to round up or down. So 1.148, since 8 is 5 or greater, it's greater than 5, 1.148, the 8 rounds the 4 up. 1.148 rounds to 1.15. Okay, and that's how rounding works. So we round to 2 decimal places. And then step 3, we want to write that number as a percent, right? So we move decimal over 2 spaces a la derecha, to the right. We move the decimal place over 2 spaces. Okay? So this was step 1. This was step 2. Step 3, we move the decimal place over, so it'd be 115. I get 1.15. So I round it over and it goes up by 115. Okay? So that's what I get for that one. And on to the next one. From 74 to 75. Well, let's see. Oh, you know what? You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do something, guys. I forgot to, whenever you divide, you're figuring out what the, not the increase or the decrease, but you're figuring out the actual change. So it actually changed by 204%. But if you want to know increase or decrease, we actually have to subtract. So I actually forgot one extra step. Lo siento. I forgot that when we're estimating the change, we actually want to do one more step. So I'm going to add one more step to this. Once we do that last step, we're going to subtract by 100. So we want to subtract that number by 100. Okay? So it was 204, now it's going to be 104. This was 115, now it's going to be 15. Okay, because if you remember, when we looked at the answers, it was 104 and 15, right? Go back down here. 104 and 15. Because we're trying to figure out what the increase is, not what the change is. So it changed by 204%, but it went up by 104%. Okay? A little tricky. We'll explain probably a little bit more as we go here. So let's change colors. It's a lot of blue so far. Let's switch it up a little bit. So step 1, divide. All right, let's see what that is. 75 divided by 74. 1.013. 1.013. That rounds to 1.01. The 3 is not big enough to round the 1 up to a 2. It would have to be a 5 or greater. It would have to be a 5 or greater to round up. So it rounds down to 1.01. Or, if you want to think about it like this, it would be like the number stays the same. Okay. So 1.01, that was step 2. Step 3, we moved the decimal place over 2 spaces. So it would be 101. Then we subtract that number by 100, which is just 1. Okay. So here's why. First we divide, so that tells us what the actual change is. Then we have to round it. Then we change it to 101 because decimals, 1.01 would be 101. Like, for instance, 100% of something is all of it, right? So, like, if I said 100% of this stylus I'm using right here, well, that would be this one stylus. 100% of the stylus would be all of it. It would be all one of the stylus. So 1 is equal to 100%. 1.01 would be 101%. The reason why we have to subtract by 100% or subtract by 1 before we turn it into a percent is because we're measuring the percent increase. So it's sort of like tax. When you have to pay tax on something. If you've ever bought something and you have to pay tax on it, you have to buy the thing, and then you add the tax to it. So in Florida, for instance, it's 8.5% is the tax. So if you buy something for, let's say, $100, or let's say for $1. So for $1, you would have to pay an 8.5% tax on that, which would just be, 0.085 cents added to that dollar. So you would actually pay, if you bought something for exactly $1, you would actually have to pay $1.09, unless they round down. But I think they round up. It depends. They can round down if they want. But why would you though? Anyways, so you would round it up. It would be 109 cents after it's all said and done. But that's not the percent increase, right? The sales tax itself is not $1.09. The sales tax itself would be the 9 cents. That's what we're trying to find, is the sales tax. That's why it's a smaller number, and that's why we're subtracting by 100. Okay. So number 4, we do 90 divided by 36, and that's 2.5. So 90 divided by 36, 2.5 exactly, so we don't have to round. And then we still have to move the decimal place over 2 spaces to the right. 1, 2, which would be 250, and then we subtract 100. 150%. All right, and that's how you do it. Step 1, we divide. Step 2, we round to 2 decimal places, which we didn't need to in this case. Step 3, we move the decimal place over 2 spaces to the right. 1, 2, 250, and then we subtract that number by 100. And there we go. Now, this is our first decrease. So, what do you think? What should we do? We should do it a little bit differently, but maybe it'll be pretty much the same. Well, let's think about it. If we go from 94 to 34, we would do 94, right? We're going from 94 to 34. 94 times something gives you 34. We would still go from the first number to the second number, but in this case, I would divide both sides by 94, and then look at that. I'm actually dividing the small number by the big number, right? So if it's decrease, If it's decrease, then step 1 would be to divide the small number by the big number instead. Okay, so if it's decrease, that's what we do instead. Let's see. So 34 divided by 94. 34 divided by 94. That would be 0.36. Okay, so 0.36. Okay, and it was 0.361, which rounds to 0.36. Okay, then we move the decimal place over 2 spaces, so it'd be 36%. And then, okay, what was the actual decrease then? Right? What would we have to decrease here? Well, if I multiply 94 by 0.36, then that tells me what would have to happen. That's 36% of 94. Okay? But we want to get from 94 to 34, right? And we want to like subtract something because we're decreasing. Well, we're multiplying, but then we want to subtract it from 100 or whatever, right? So, yeah. So let's do that. If we subtract 100 for this, right? We get the 150 or whatever. So we still did step 2. We still did step 3. Step 4 though, it would be like a negative number if we subtracted it by 100, wouldn't it? Right? So if I subtract it by 100, 36 minus 100, that would be the opposite of 100 minus 36. They actually both give you the same number, just with a different sign. So this, 100 minus 36, that would be 64. That would be 64. This would be negative 64. Okay, so either one of them actually makes sense. But if we want to say what the percent increase or decrease is, then we're already assuming that we're like, the sign is already like included in that. So you could say negative 64%, meaning that we're decreasing by 64%, but we already said we're decreasing. We already said we're decreasing, so you could put 64% as well. Okay, so really either one. I think most teachers would prefer if you put 64%. And that's only because we said here that we're decreasing. We said here that we're decreasing. We're decreasing. How much are we decreasing by? 64%. Okay? So we still kind of do the same thing. You could still subtract it by 100 if you wanted to, but instead you could subtract that number from 100. You could do that from 100 instead, and that would actually give you a positive version of the answer, which is fine. It's totally fine. All right, next one. This time we want to divide the small number by the big number. Oh, wait, no we don't. We're increasing again. Oh, it keeps changing on us. We're increasing. So for increasing, we do big divided by small. Okay, if we're increasing, we do big divided by small. Okay, so big, 23, divided by small, 12. And I get 1.916 repeating. 1.916. Those are the first 3 digits after the decimal place, and that would round to 1.92. And then that turns into 192, and then we subtract from 100. 92%. Okay, step 1, divide. Step 2, round. Step 3, move the decimal place over 2 spaces. And then step 4, subtract from 100, or subtract by 100. Okay, cool. All right, decrease. Decrease, so we do small divided by big. 76 divided by 83. I get 0.915. 76 over 83. I get 0.915. And that would round to 0.92. Just barely. It has to be a 5 or greater to round up. And it does round up because it's a 5. So 0.92, which then turns into 92, and then we subtract that into 100. Ooh, wait, hold on. If we subtract that by 100, what would happen? Wait a second. It's a decrease, though. So let's see. So if we go from 83 to 76, we're decreasing, right? So what do we do when we do small divided by big? Did I do small? I did do small divided by big. Okay, so then we subtract from 100 then. We should subtract from 100 and get 8. It's an 8% decrease. Okay, number 8. And I just realized I didn't switch my color. I just used green for more than 2 problems. Whoa, crazy. Okay, increase. We go big divided by small. You can also just remember to divide. If it says from blank to blank, then just divide the right side number by the left side number. That also works. So if you want to do that instead, and that's easier for you, just do that. 96 divided by 24. I get exactly 4. Whoa, crazy. 96 divided by 24 is 4, so no need to round. But I still want to take the decimal place and move it over 2 spaces. And then I want to subtract it by 100. 300%. All right, now let's change colors. Different shade of green here. All right, from 20 to 99, we're going to do 99 divided by 20. 99 divided by 20. And that is 4.95 exactly, so we don't have to round again. And then that would turn into 495, and then we subtract by 100. 395. There we go. All right, increasing again, we do 72 divided by 16. 4.5. 72 divided by 16. 4.5. Again, we don't need to round, so we just want to move it over 2 spaces, 4, 5, 0, and then subtract by 100, 3, 5, 0. And there we go. All right, let's change colors again, because why not? And then we're decreasing. Okay, well, we still divide the right side number by the left side number, but if you want to, you can remember to divide the small number by the big number. And when I divide 91 by 117, I get 0.7 repeating. So I'm going to do the first 3 digits here, then round. Okay, so I'm going to have to round 0.78. Then I write that as 78, move the decimal place over, and then I subtract that from 100. If I subtract that from 100, that's a 2. That would be a 3, but I had to borrow, so that's a 22%. All right, next one, 42 divided by 188. The other thing too is that I don't see this on here, but if the units are different, you would have to deal with that first. You'd have to change the units so that they're the same. So it doesn't matter which one you would pick. Like, let's say one of these was minutes and the other one was hours. Like if this one right here was hours instead, you could either change them both to hours, change the minutes to hours, or change the hours to minutes. As long as they're both minutes or both hours, it'd be fine. Okay, so if that does happen, that's what you would do. Okay, you got to get the units the same first. It would be like step 0. And then you would do what we're doing here. So 42 divided by 188. 188. That is 0.223, which rounds down to 0.22, which turns into 22. And then we would subtract that by 100. 100 minus 22. Oh, hey, we just got 22 here, so 100 minus 22 is 78. Whoa, crazy. Okay. Let's see. Change color again. We're on yellow this time. 156 divided by 362. I get 0.430. 156, 362. I get 0.430. Again, I'm just using the first 3 digits. I'm not rounding yet. I'm just writing out the first 3 digits so that I can round. Well, 0.430 is exactly the same thing as 0.43, right? So definitely rounds down to 0.43. It's like technically not even rounding. But anyways, 0.43 turns into 43, and then we subtract from 100. 100 minus 43, that would be a 7. That's a 6.5. 57%. All right, 385 divided by 139, and I get 2.769. 2.769 when I divide. That would round to what? 2.77, which then turns into 277. And then I subtract by 100, and I get 177. Oh, don't forget the percent sign. There we go. Change colors. Doing kind of an orangish now. So 333. Don't let the different symbols throw you off there. It's just, money, so it's another unit, right? Money is a unit, grams is a unit, hours is a unit. So just ignore the little money signs. 328. I get 1.015. So 328. 1.015, which is 1.02, which turns into 102. And we would subtract from 100, right? Or subtract by 100 in this case. We get 2%. Like milk, 2%. That's not very much of an increase, right? $328 to $333. You only got $5, right? So not a big change. 274 divided by 259. Okay, 274, 259. And that equals 1.057, which rounds to 1.06, which turns into 106, which subtracts by 100, and I get 6. Right? Going a little bit faster now, but if I'm going too fast, you could always slow it down. And if I'm going too slow, you could always speed it up, right? You just go to the little settings, and you click on like playback speed, and you can change it to slow motion, or have it go really and have it sound all like gerbily and stuff. So I don't know if you knew that, but you can do that. So anyways, 206 divided by 284. Okay, 206 divided by 284, and that equals 0.725, and that would round up or down? Yeah, it rounds up. 0.73, which turns into 73. Subtract that from 100, and I get 7, and then that would be 3, but then it's a 2 because I had to borrow. 27%. All right, 221 divided by 246. 221 over 246 is 0.898, which rounds to 0.8. Wait, that would go up. 0.898. The 8 would make the 9 go up, but if the 9 goes up, it would be 10, which means that this is really interesting. This would be 0.90. Because think about it, if this is bigger than 5, if it's 5 or greater, and it is, then it makes this number go up. Well, 9 can't go up anymore. If it goes up another one, it would be 10, right? So 89, if you have 9 go up, it would make it 90. 89 would turn into 90. So it's 0.90, but you'd have to keep it as 0.90 if you were rounding it, because 0.9 would look like you're rounding to 1 decimal place. Not that it matters that much here, because we're actually just going to turn this into 90 anyways. But for future reference, that's what that would be. So 100 minus 90 is 10, and that was a 10% decrease. All right. Next color, like a blood orange here. 299 divided by 309. Right, 299, 309. I get 0.967. Okay, I'm just taking the first 3 digits, and then that would turn into 0.97, which turns into 97, and then I would subtract from 100 and get 3%. Okay, 241 divided by 326. 241 divided by 326. That is 0.739, which rounds to 0.74, which turns into 74, and then I would subtract from 100. 74, 6, and that would be 3, but now it's 2. And there we go. All right, changing colors again. And we're almost done because we only got these 4 more, and then we got the answers after that. So if you look here, boom, we're almost done. All right, big numbers, but if you're using a calculator, it doesn't really matter how big the numbers are. You just type it all in. So 7548 divided by 4048. Okay, 7548, 4048, and I get 1.864, which rounds to 1.86, which turns into 186. Subtracted by 100, and I get 86. There we go. All right, 7895 divided by 2150. 7895, 2150, and I get 3.672. That's going to round down, 3.67. Then I change it to 367. Then I subtract by 100, 267%. Okay? And if you've fast forwarded to get down to these harder problems down here, and you didn't see the method I was using, you might want to go back and look at the method I was using, because I'm going a little bit faster now that we're towards the end, because I'm assuming that you kind of stuck around at the beginning to learn how I was doing this and what these steps are. Okay? So if you need to go back and look at the steps, there's 4 steps, and you go back to the beginning, and I'll show you the 4 steps at the top there. Okay? 5377 divided by 4359. Right, so 5377, 4359. That turns into 1.23, and oh, I need another one, 3. 1.233, which turns into 1.23, which turns into 123, and then I subtract from 100, and I get 23. All right, and then last one, 6820 divided by 5876. I get 1.160, which would round to 1.16, which turns into 116, and then I would subtract by 100, and I would get 16. Figured just for funsies, I would just do it all in my head on that one and just spit out the answer. But you would show all your work for this one as well and get 16, just like I was doing before. Okay? So again, here's the answers. All right? And they show decrease and increase. And we show decrease and increase, and then we have all of our percents. There's the 16, there's the 23, right? 16, 23. And if you want to check my work, you can. See if I got any of these wrong. If I did, let me know in the comments below. And speaking of the comments below, let me know if there's another video that you want to see on another topic. And I will do it right after I'm done going through this series on algebra questions. All right. And again, this has been Mr. Kyle Myers Mathematics. If you haven't gotten my awesome free guide, it is the 5 math mistakes everyone makes and how to avoid them. It's on my website, myersmathematics.com, and you can grab that for free. You just go to the website, myersmathematics.com, and that link will be in the description below, and you can get that free guide. All right.